It took me an entire year to study for the LSAT, and at least half of that was a complete waste of time, but eventually I figured it out. I brought my score from a cold diagnostic of a 152 to a 175 on LSAT test day, putting me in the 99th percentile of test takers. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz, and today I'm going to show you what not to do in your LSAT prep and what you should be doing instead. You already know you've got to focus. You already know you've got to block off the time to make it happen. You're probably already pretty busy, or else you wouldn't be struggling with the LSAT, which I'm assuming you are. And I'm assuming that you're looking to bring your LSAT score up significantly. So today I'm going to share with you the framework we use for our students at LSAT Unplugged, where we create for you a personalized day-by-day study plan, laying out exactly what to do every single day over the course of your prep. And if you like what I share and you're interested in finding out more, you can check out the links below this video to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. So the LASER approach is my framework for crafting any student's LSAT study schedule. It's a 5-phase approach. LASER is an acronym standing for Learning, Accuracy, Sections, Exams, and Review. I'll go through each one in detail, but the bottom line is you want to build the foundation first before you fall into the trap of taking test after test after test. In contrast to the LASER approach, a lot of students fall into this endless cycle, rinse and repeat, of taking practice test after practice test. They're measuring their results, they're happy or sad about those results, and then they move on to the next. And that's what I did personally back when I was studying for the LSAT. It's what I spent at least 6 months doing, taking test after test. Back when I took the LSAT, there were roughly 45 released numbered prep tests at the time. Currently, there are 94 numbered exams in the format with logic games. For those taking the LSAT going forward without games, they've reduced it to 58 by slicing and dicing up the exams. That's a topic for another video. But the bottom line is that you don't want to burn through valuable practice material, especially if you're taking the LSAT in August or beyond, at which point there are only currently 58 exams in that new format, and you'd be surprised, you can get through them pretty quickly if you are determined and focused. And so to avoid running the risk of wasting your time taking test after test without seeing improvement like I did, instead, I ultimately came to recognize that what I should have been doing all along was this LASER approach, building that foundation, then taking the practice tests only after I had already gone through the phases of this approach, starting with learning. In the first L phase, the learning phase of the LASER approach, you are taking the time to slow down and build that foundation. You are getting a proper understanding of each section and each question type. There are roughly 15 different types of logical reasoning questions, for example. Each one requires taking a unique perspective and approach to understand what exactly they are asking you to do. Because after all, you can't solve the question if you don't know what they're asking you to do to start with. And of course, for some question types like strengthen or weaken, it may seem pretty straightforward, and it often is. But for other question types like resolve the paradox or method of reasoning or parallel, it may be a little confusing to parse out exactly what you need to do and what's going to be the most efficient approach. So you want to slow down to build that foundation with the learning phase. You could do that through books, but I often find that books are pretty boring and you don't need to spend 500 pages for just one section of the LSAT. So instead, I often recommend watching short bite-sized videos like we have in our courses, or joining live small group classes to actually have someone explain to you and answer your questions. After the learning phase, you move on to the A in LASER for accuracy, where you are drilling questions by type to better understand the proper perspective in context, seeing the patterns in terms of what goes into solving a parallel reasoning question, or a method of reasoning, or strengthen or weaken, or flaw or necessary assumption, for example. You're building that skill in terms of consistently applying the proper approach for each of those types. The S phase in LASER is for doing individual timed sections to work on your pacing, 35 minutes with standard timing, maybe more if you have extra time accommodations. Then the E phase is E for exams and endurance, doing full-length timed practice tests. Ideally, you're going to do at least 10 of those before test day itself. Will feel like just another run-through. And finally, R for review. You want to make sure that you're taking the time to slow down and properly understand the tricks and traps that you are personally uniquely prone to falling for, so that you can avoid making the same mistakes again. At LSAT Unplugged, we have a process for this called the Socratic review method. We will show you personally in our one-on-one coaching services, and then we also walk through it in our live small group sessions. The Socratic review method framework is a template to help you systematically go through every element of the question. For example, in logical reasoning, the stimulus, the question stem and the answer choices to figure out what is off about your approach and what tools and techniques and drills and strategies could you apply to extract the key insight from that process so that you can avoid making the same mistake again, because of course the LSAT repeats itself over and over and over. And so you want a systematic approach to make sure that you're getting the full value out of every question you do, because of course, every question that you get wrong or have difficulty with is an opportunity to learn more about what you're doing wrong and what you can correct for the next time around. If you'd like my help, feel free to reach out. Links below. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.